One. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Real Red Stock. Hope you're doing extremely well on this beautiful Friday evening. Ruben Amorim and Matheus Cunha have been speaking to the media ahead of the game against West Ham tomorrow night. So, well, I said they've been speaking. They're just about to speak in the next kind of minute. So we will have quotes coming out from that, and we will dive into what Cunha said, and we'll dive into what Ruben Amorim said. Of course, they play West Ham tomorrow night, so we'll talk a little bit about that game if we've got time for it. So please do smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, get involved in the comment section as we go through these. We'll start with the Garnacho stuff, lads. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but we had Rob Dawson earlier on reporting that Bayern Munich have inquired about signing Garnacho, but the Manchester United winger still prefers to stay in the Premier League. The question is, Shreyas, do we have enough suitors in the Premier League? Because it doesn't seem like anyone's pushing interest in him in it. And with Chelsea signing Xavi Simons as well, it's kind of like, it doesn't seem promising, does it?
I think Chelsea are done when it comes to their attacking signings this summer.
I agree.
I think Xavi Simons is pretty much a done deal, or just progressing. It is only, I think, a matter of a couple of days that it gets announced. And he is a very big, I would say, and a very, I would say, like for like signing for a club like Chelsea at the moment, considering, big prospect, could be the next big thing, and they're going for him. So makes sense as to why Chelsea would go in for a player like him. But it just means that, when it comes to Garnacho and Chelsea, I think that story is over. Moving on to other clubs, Villa haven't really been linked to any wingers for that matter, I would say. I think that as is, they've already got a lot of wingers already at the club. You look at Newcastle, they've already got Anthony Gordon and they've just signed Elanga. So I don't see them moving for another winger either. So, and, Liverpool are stacked already. They're going for Rodrigo as well. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But City are all, again, they've got enough players as is. So there's not really a club in there, especially, in that top 5, top 6 department, which, who actually, is actively exploring a deal for a winger. If they are, they're exploring deals for strikers, but not for wingers.
Obviously, we can only speculate, Sam. We don't know what Garnacho's thinking is, but why do you think he would close off that kind of pool to Europe? Because there's obviously suitors. There's suitors in Italy, suitors in Germany. I'd imagine there'd probably be a couple in the Spanish league. What would be the benefit in doing that?
Maybe he knows there's more money in the Premier League. It's the richest league in the world. So he knows he get paid a decent wage, whereas if he goes to Napoli or maybe not so much Bayern, but Napoli and Italy and stuff, like, he's not going to get paid as much as we've seen with Jadon Sancho. Bayern Munich, maybe he feels he'll be a bit part player because they've got so many forwards there. I don't know whether he's a second choice to Luis Diaz because they've restarted talks with him, haven't they? So it's like, is he a backup in case Luis Diaz thing doesn't work out, or is he an addition to? Because if that's so, then he's going to find trouble getting into that squad, isn't he? Like in the forward line, because they've got so many. Whereas at Chelsea, maybe he backs himself to sort of be in the first team, get in the squad and sort of play. Again, they've got a lot forward, so I'm not sure what he's thinking is. Obviously, Villa's not. I don't think Villa have bought anyone of note, and I think they need to sell to sort of do the books on their PSR, so I don't see them buying him outright until they've sold a bunch of people. But apparently, all the players that we want off him apparently are not for sale. So I don't know what they're going to do. Apparently, Martinez, they won't loan him, and Ollie Watkins is not for sale. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird one with Garnacho. Maybe he's comfortable in England. Maybe he wants to go to London. Maybe he's got friends in London. I don't know. It's a strange one. But maybe as the window goes on, the window gets a little bit sort of tighter, and he's running out of options. Maybe those other options sort of come into consideration.
Yeah.
When I look at Bayern Munich, though, they've got a lot of attackers, but I don't know if necessarily they've got a lot of left-sided touchline wingers like Garnacho. Obviously, Michael Elise, Musiala's out with a bad injury.
Yeah.
They let Leroy Sané go to Turkey. Gnabry's still there? Is he still
I think so.
Popping about?
So
they've got a couple there. That's why I always mention about the Marcus Rashford thing with Bayern Munich, because I was like, it doesn't seem like Diaz is going. Now, it depends how much money they spend now, because I think the first initial bid for Diaz was 63 million, and they rejected that. So it all depends what they go back in for. And they've obviously got cash for a winger if they are spending that kind of money.
Yeah.
So you would think.
Also, as well, if Liverpool are going to go after Isaac, you'd think they're going to have to sell Diaz to fund that in some way.
Yeah.
So maybe they come down a bit on the price, or maybe they're open to more negotiation this time than sort of, because it seemed like what was it? They wanted 70, 80 million or something for him.
Yeah.
So maybe they come a bit Bayern's way this time.
Yeah, I hope not, because that's more money for Liverpool, and you know where that money's going to be spent, don't we, lads? Spent on big players, unfortunately. In other news, also, we will get the quotes, by the way. I know there's quite a few of you in the chat. We'll get into the quotes from Cunha and Amorim very, very shortly. Just waiting for a few to appear as it's kind of ongoing. But we had news straight that Andre Onana's back in training today, so the hamstring injury. I mean, I don't even know when he got it, but felt like he got it about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and he's already sound and good to go. I know we have concerns with Onana, and I know the majority of the fan base are right in having those concerns, but to have a number one goalkeeper who is your number one, ready and available, at least it's something that you don't have to go into the season maybe with a Bayender or Heaton in that. Or maybe you prefer Heaton.
Who's that question for?
Shreyas. I said Shreyas at the start.
I don't know how to feel about it when it comes to Onana. I think, in a way, if Onana's injury, his recovery time would have been a bit slower, I think maybe it would have caused caused United to actually fast track a deal for someone like a Lemons or someone else, or at least see another keeper actually walk in through the door. And I think right now we desperately need that. And even if Onana comes back by Arsenal, I'm not going to be confident going into that game with Onana in net. So I think regardless, we should definitely be exploring a deal for another keeper, because if we actually want to improve, and if we actually, want to progress at least into the top 8 or top 6, whatever, Amorim and the board have actually, thought of as a bare minimum this season, you cannot go into this season having Bayender and Onana once again.
Do we start the season with Onana in net, do you think, Sam?
Most likely. Unless something drastic happens, like we get an inject of cash, or Onana declares he wants to leave, or I don't know, like something ridiculous. I think, he's probably our starting goalie for the season. Whether we sign Lemens and he comes in and then he gets opportunities in the cup games and then forces his way into the squad, maybe that happens. I'm not sure, but I think for Arsenal, it's probably going to be Onana most likely.
Yeah, hang on to your hats, people, with the goalkeeper situation, because that feels like it's going to go on to the end of August, basically. Same thing with the striker situation as well. Like both of them deals are probably, in reality, going to drag out there for a good few weeks. We also had a little bit of news reported as well that United's performance team are working with Adidas on a trial to explore cooling strategies. And they're wearing this, I don't know if you've seen this cooling jacket. It looks like a tinfoil ET jacket. Have any of you had a look at it?
No, but I imagine it looks like what they give marathon runners after they've done a marathon, don't they? They give them the tinfoil blanket, don't they? So
and also as well, like when you go on like a log flume or something, I don't know, it looks a little bit mad. But basically, they are trialing a cooling jacket that's been used in cycling and F1. Expectation is they'll be commonplace at the World Cup. United players will wear them after the warm-up and at half-time in New Jersey. Now, this isn't the biggest news, headline grabbing. I appreciate that. I absolutely get it. But it just goes to show, Shreyas, little things like that. You're talking about small margins, which we always did with David Brailsford. Little things like on performance stuff, and we never really saw that under Edward or Murta, did you?
Not at all. And at least, looking into the finer details, looking into the small stuff that could, I would say, over a prolonged course of the season can actually have an impact in a few games when it comes to performance, when it comes to output, when it comes to recovery for players as well. And if you look at United the past 3 years, for that matter, we've been a club, very much, struggling with injuries every single year. So anything you can do to actually close that gap down when it comes to injuries, even by, if it goes down by, even if a player is injured, at least they're back in like 2 to 3 weeks, it's not that bad. Rather than, having players out for 6 months, 8 months, a full, a whole season, and you're just waiting on them to come back. And even when they do come back, they're once again back on the injury bench for the next 6 months. So at least, we are taking steps to rectify those areas. And even when it comes to making investments and getting, the people in, when it comes, when it comes to recovery and those sort of things, then at least, we've got the right people in.
Yeah, agreed. Sam, I know it's pre-season, and I know you'll turn around and you'll go, doesn't matter, I don't care about any positivity during pre-season, it's a load of bollocks. But the reports that are coming out from people who, I think James from Uppertiers, they've been watching training, I think Laurie Whitwell, of course, is there as well. A lot of positivity, comments on athleticism, players being shredded, the pace and intensity kind of increasing. Does seem to be a huge focus on that at the moment, doesn't there?
Yeah, I obviously Amorim wants hard work from his players. He wants his players to graft and sort of put the work in. And if you don't, you find yourself on the outs, which we've seen with a few players who are just not up to standard and they're not with the team, or they're trying to find places for them to be sold to. So yeah, I expect it. I expect them to be in shape and stuff like that, which is great. But we saw this with Ten Hag, didn't they? He made him run. He did when he did it for Brentford and stuff like that. We're all praising him, and it sort of didn't last, did it? For a while, like it didn't last straight after. So, yeah, until I see something on the pitch, that's when I'll start believing it. When they start running the miles on the pitch when it matters, and when they actually there's points on the line and places in the Premier League, or we're trying to get into the latter stages of the FA Cup, or we're in a final like we were against Spurs and we just sort of completely caved and just didn't bother putting the work in. That's when it matters. Like in pre-season, run all you want and declare yourself fit, take pictures of your six-pack and what have you, but when it matters, that's when you put the graft in, that's when you work hard. And until the league starts, I'll hold my breath until that point.
One can only dream, taking pictures of six-pack and all that kind of jazz. Listen, Amorim Cunha just walked through the door now, basically, so we'll get the quotes out soon. Ahead of the game, Shreyas, on Saturday, what are you expecting to see?
At least a somewhat of a better outing than we had against Leeds. A bit more exciting to that game, because in that game, all I could see was warning signs when it came to the team, when the way we played against Leeds. And Leeds are a newly promoted club. So I do understand it's pre-season, but at least there should be a factor where wherein you can look at the game and go, in these areas we are definitely better, or when it comes to quality we are definitely better than Leeds. But it looked like match for match that game was quite a 50-50 battle. So going into this game, I want to see a lot more when it comes to the midfield. I want to see a lot more organization when it comes to spaces being left in behind. That is something that I really want to see. And I want to see if Amorim can actually rectify that midfield issue that is so prevalent in every single game that we've seen up until now.
Yeah. I think Sam might have seen a Huntsman Spiderman on the wall. I don't know what's going on.
I think my headphones died, so just give me a sec.
Yeah.
Your audio as well as been thinking. Yeah, sweet. I don't know. I have to agree with you. I think the Leeds game, they felt like there was quite a bit of hype going into it because we hadn't watched football for so long, and then when they actually kicked off in the first half and the second half, I think there was an improvement definitely with the players that were on the pitch in the second half, but there was still issues there that you saw from last season. There was still spacing issues, which we had under Ten Hag, to be honest with you. We've had that for a long time, not protecting space in the right areas, not reacting quick enough, not pressing enough as a collective. Hopefully that dynamic will change now with someone like Brian Mbeumo on the right-hand side, Cunha on the left-hand side. Like, you're getting legs in there because everyone talks about their ability on the ball, and rightfully so because they are extreme talents, but how hard they work off it as well. Like I've mentioned that Mbeumo with Thomas Frank before at Brentford has worked as kind of an aggressive wing-back. He can interchange with Ahmad. Cunha drops quite deep at times as well. So defensively, pressing from the front, it should be a lot more effective. I'm just excited to see who's actually going to start in the squad together. If he's going to go with a similar team or, maybe somewhere else. Right, we've got a couple of the quotes flowing in. Sam, have we managed to sort our headphones out and stuff?
Yeah, we're all good now.
Awesome, cool. Right, let's see. Ruben Amorim speaking about Matheus Cunha and Mbeumo says really pleased with United bringing in 2 goal scorers already. Say they've proved it already in the Premier League, and that is important. We need to be really careful when we sign players if we start the season with this squad. I am happy, which is interesting, isn't it, Sam? Would you be happy starting the season with the squad?
Not particularly. I think a midfielder is definitely a concern for me. I think the goalkeeper thing is, yes, it is a concern, but I just think the right goalie? Are they out there to solve and then shift Onana out and stuff? That's a tricky thing to do in the next 5 weeks. So I think that might have to wait for next, maybe January or summer. I don't know. But I think, yeah, a midfielder, if we can bring in a midfielder before start of the season, I think that I'd be a lot happier then. Like, that'd make me a lot more sort of like, okay, let's see what we could do. Obviously, there's other positions that need addressing. Possible wing back issues. A number 9 would be nice, but at the minute, the number 9 thing seems like a patience game, doesn't it? It's just like waiting to see how all these dominoes move with Isaac and Sesko and Ollie Watkins and what have you. So yeah, it's a waiting game with that. But yeah, I would hope that they're looking for a midfielder. Amorim mentioned it in his post interview after Leeds, saying we need some speed in the midfield, we need some physicality. There was too much space and stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping we bring in a midfielder because I think that's desperately needed.
Speaking of a striker, now this isn't directly quoted to striker Shreyas, but Amorim stressed the importance that Cunha and Mbeumo chose United despite everything when Champions League was an offer elsewhere. It does seem like it's kind of something that they want to tick on a clipboard when they're signing the player. Do you think that's a little of a dig to Gyökeres, potentially?
I don't know what it is, but the thing is, we can already see Amorim, ever since he's come in, he's been quite straightforward in his interviews. You can never see him, beating around the bush, or you can never see him sugarcoating stuff for that matter. When the performances have been bad, he's, outright called that the performances have been way below the quality level that he demands from the team. And you can see it as well, the way some players have been exiled from the club, some players who are not even making the bench for the club. He's been quite straightforward, and on top of that, he's been quite strict when it comes to the discipline and when it comes to the amount of work that he wants the team to actually put in. He wants the overall collective of the team actually working as a unit on the pitch, not a unidimensional sort of a team where it's just one player and everyone is playing around that player. So I can see the idea, I can see what he where he's coming from, and I think that right now the odds are really stacked against his favor. If you see, how other clubs are progressing, if you see how United has been progressing in this window, we know that there is already a very big gap when you have to compare United to other clubs, especially when you look at the top 8. And with the way the transfer window has been going, with the way other clubs have been going, that gap right now has bridged a lot more. You can also comment on the way we, play our football. You can comment on the way we leave spaces in behind for players to accumulate. But we can see if we go into next season, with the same lineup, with the same, thought process, we will get caught out again. And that is why, even in the last game, like you mentioned before, he said that we need a lot more when it comes to, our central play. We need a lot more physicality. We need a lot more pace. And I think maybe, in the corner of his mind, he thought maybe Gyökeres might end up coming to United with the way things were looking at some point. But I think even he knew it's going to be a very difficult deal for United to do, considering the budget we had, considering, the type of clubs that were in the running for him, and even Gyökeres' own preference to play for a Champions League club. So maybe he has to think outside of the box. Maybe he tweaks the system for the front three or the midfield somehow, but there are still a lot of question marks still, around our club and around our performances.
We flip that, Sam. If we put ourselves in Cunha and Mbeumo's football boots, if you will. I mean, Cunha's just saying about his dream club, and it suggests that Amorim was a big part of his decision to join Man United. Why do you think that is? Because from a fan's perspective, if you watch the season that we've just had, you would understand if these players chose a club knit towards the top, right? So what do you think it is, what the dynamic, why they've gone, I want to join United? Is it just simply because of the club that we are, or?
Yeah, I like, everybody goes, oh, United got no pull anymore. Well, that's clearly not true, because the two players that we've signed came because of United. Like, they could have gone to clubs with Champions League football. They could have gone to clubs who were further up the table. Like, we know this. But they've come because they're Manchester United. So that sort of resonates within certain players. Like, they grew up. So they're older than Shreyas, but they're younger than us. So they're in that midpoint of like Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, like that kind of era. That's where they grew up. So they grew up watching United be the best team in the world. And like, when you come from countries like Cameroon, like Mbeumo, and Brazil, like Cunha, where there isn't a lot, like they come from quite sort of poor backgrounds and stuff. United was everywhere, like all over the world. Like Shreyas and Danny, for example, like they're United fans because we've got the biggest reach like of any other club across the world, and they're in India, which is thousands of miles away. So same with Chivi, he's from Nigeria. Like we reach every corner of the globe. So that resonates with certain people. Obviously, if you got like young players now, like 18, 19-year-olds, they'd probably be more City fans, Liverpool fans, that kind of stuff, because they've been the dominant team and the sort of Haalands and Salahs and all that sort of stuff. So I think we still resonate with certain people, and you just got to hope that they come in, they change the team, and it gets more successful, which then more players go, oh, United are getting better. I want to be a part of that. Go there, play it, and it just sort of builds and builds and builds. That's what happened to Liverpool. Like Liverpool are a historic club, lots of history, won everything there is to win. But for like 30 years, it just sort of muddled, didn't they? And just didn't really do much. Klopp comes in, starts changing everything, starts moving everything around, and players start going, I want to be a part of that. I like that manager. I like the way he plays. I love his football. They're winning stuff. I want to go be a part of that. And they started signing people like Salah, started signing people like Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, and start building this monster team. And if it weren't for Pep Guardiola's City, they probably would have won a lot more league titles, wouldn't they? If it weren't for them. So it's an attractive prospect. But yeah, at the minute, we've got to pick and choose who the players are. You've got to pick and choose players who want to be here. Gyökeres didn't want to be here, so move on. Like, don't sign him. I'm sure there's been other players who've said they don't want to come here. It's like, cool, move on, don't sign them.
I think you can talk about players that aren't here that are still actually at the club as well. I think Amorim's just been speaking about that, about the quote-unquote bomb squad. I don't know why they've been called the bomb squad. But do you know who's named them that, by the way? Is that like a journalistic thing?
I don't know where it's come from. I've just seen it and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they appreciate being called the bomb squad.
Yeah.
Ruben Amorim saying it's important to have a healthy and united group. We will suffer, but having this unity is really, really important. I'm really pleased with the new arrivals. It's important to sign players as soon as possible. They've proved already in the Premier League, and Matheus can play in different positions as well. Yeah, food for thought for those players that are back at home, Shreyas. Are you convinced we'll get rid of the majority of them, or do you think some of them might have to be reintegrated back into the squad? And is it the right decision as well, what Amorim's doing?
I think it is the right decision, about what Amorim is doing, because I think when during preseason, sometimes people forget what they're getting for the entirety of a season, and preseason in itself is an isolated time space where everyone gets an opportunity, where everyone gets minutes. And we've seen it a lot of times that certain players impress during preseason, but when it comes to the, real Premier League time, they're nowhere to be found when it comes to their availability, when it comes to their output and, effectiveness on the pitch. And with certain players, I would say the narratives at United change quite soon. Like, for example, if Anthony went during preseason, he's getting goals every single game, there would be a certain part of the fan base that would go, maybe we should not really be letting him go to Betis or some other club. Maybe he should stick around and, he can have some sort of...
Pereira comes to mind.
Yeah. And it used to happen a lot of times that they end up sticking up the entire, sticking at United the entire season, and it didn't really help us. What it did was it just took one position on the bench or in the starting 11, and we used to suffer on the pitch because of it. And I think going into this preseason, knowing that these are your players and these are the players that are going to be there for the entirety of the next season, it gives the manager a lot more sense as to what he's working with and what are the areas where definitely he needs to be looking into signings or, looking into reinforcements. And I back the manager when it comes to, this sort of a situation. Again, how fruitful it looks is something completely different, because again, if we go into next season, we have a decent start in the first 5 games. The narratives around Amorim would be, all the decisions he's taken has been completely correct. If we have a slow start to the season, that narratives completely shift.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my Zoom right. I'm going in and like that, trying to get level. Apologies about that. Look, we've got I agree with you, and we've got a mixed group of players, haven't we? We've got experience. We've got some of the youngsters that are in there, the first time on pre-season. Someone like Luke Shaw, Sam, who's been at the club for almost a decade. I know you're a huge fan of him, but Ruben Amorim has just said, I think Luke Shaw is a world-class player when he touches the ball, the ability to play 1-against-1, and other, obviously, assets that he has as well. But from what we saw from when he came back from injury, is that ability still there? Because it doesn't seem like it to me.
No, but again, when he's been fit, and it's very rare when he is fit, we have seen elements of, okay, this guy is really, really good. We had that one season where he shot Roberto Carlos and stuff like that. He got nominated Player of the Year and all this sort of stuff. He was class, but we've seen one season of it. Like one season in, God, like 10 years. Like, it's just not enough, is it?
No.
And it's like, at what point does the toll of the amount of injuries that he's had start building up and just sort of taking away from his game? We saw when Terrell Malacia came back, he didn't look like the same guy, did he?
Yeah.
Just didn't look like the same dude at all. And it's like, what point does that start happening to Luke Shaw? Martial, again, was another one. Like, he came back and he couldn't run. Like, the guy couldn't run properly. Like, he was just completely fucked. So I'm just like, he would be a player I would move on. But again, who the hell do you sell him to? He's probably on a really good wage. He's injury prone. And it's like, who the hell do you sell him to? Like, not a lot of teams are going to take a chance on him, not for a big fee anyway, like, and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. So I suppose Amorim's just got in his head, look, I've bought 2 left backs in Diego Leon and Patrick Dorgu. They could be my left wing backs. I'll play Luke Shaw as a cover for left-sided centre back. Like, that he'll be my option there. I would be hesitant to say that Luke Shaw will be at wing back for United this season. Because I think if he is, then you're just begging for him to end up on the injury treatment table again. Like, I just don't think that's going to be an option.
Only in game, I think you'll see it shift.
Yeah.
You know, if we're really pushing for it, they start pushing Dorgu a bit further up, maybe dragging him inside, and then kind of Shaw will shift out there. But in terms of starting a game, it's just not got the athleticism to bomb up and down. We need really aggressive wing backs, and Shaw ain't it at a minute. Right, comment section. My damn United saying, afternoon, Sam, Nick, Shreyas. Hope you're all good. Busy at work, but listening. Actually got the alert this time. Good way to start the weekend. T2DSO, in terms of a keeper, we needed a dominatrix in the 6-yard box.
Hey.
Had to get it in there, little joke on a Friday night. That's going to live with you forever, by the way, Shreyas. Daniel Raj, just random. We need something like the Kiss of Vegas kind of look going into the season. Do we remember that?
Yeah, it didn't work though, did it?
Yeah.
He didn't fucking score. Like, he never scored. So it's just like, it didn't work.
When he did it?
Yeah.
It was like, everyone was like, what the fuck is he doing? Like,
yeah.
Bizarre situation. Daryl's in the chat saying, evening lads, had a hectic day at work. I saw someone comment that supposedly Shaw was up for leaving. Any news about that? Because I think if a fit Shaw will be great in the system, but is he capable? I mean, hopefully we've kind of covered that there.
Yeah.
On Luke Shaw. He'll be used as a bit part. I very highly doubt he'll be sold. It's just be one of them experienced players that we can fall back on, hopefully, but we'll just have to wait and see.
It's not like it's an urgent case where he has to go, where he's been so terrible and so bad that we have to get rid of him. Like, you can hang on to him and he's useful in some way. Like, this is not a Anthony situation where he's just been absolutely useless and there's no reason to keep him.
Yeah. Just a few more quotes to go through before we head off. Matheus Cunha said, when we arrived, we were very welcomed and it helps you a lot. It's been 2 weeks already with the group. I feel completely fine with the tactics, everything. It's important to adapt, but with time, everything will show what we do. We've already seen a kind of glimpse of that, didn't we, Shreyas, with the... he was bollocking, was it Cheeto for having a shot?
Yeah.
He took it off his foot, didn't he? He took it off his foot.
Took it off his foot, but you can see there's a demand there. There's an intensity similar to Bruno Fernandes. Like, what are you expecting from Cunha this season?
I expect a lot of him because I think the character is definitely there. And on top of that, the intent to actually, drive up with the ball. Like, on a lot of occasions last year, I used to see, that even if we have the ball and a player sees a 1v1 or a 1v2, they seem to hesitate and, just, pass the ball back around. What I saw from Cunha during Leeds was he was ready to ram through players every single time that he was on the ball, whether it was off the wing, whether it was off an inverted run. So the intent was something that was really impressive to see. And I think once, a partnership starts to form, maybe with Diego Leon or maybe with Dorgu, I think we'll see a lot more of him. And I expect big things from Cunha this season. Considering, how much Amorim has wanted this guy. We've seen it through last season as well that Amorim has been really, really hell-bent on getting someone like Cunha into the team. So he must have a plan for him set up that, he's going to come in, he's going to play this way. And this is the sort of output and effectiveness that we sort of expect from Cunha. So I think Cunha will be a big piece in that team. And I think with time, one of the things is having Bruno and Cunha in the same team really helps, because someone like Cunha knows how to get, at the end of all those crosses, I would say, and all those passes that Bruno really likes to make into the box. So if someone like Cunha can get at the end of it, he'll create a lot more chances and a lot more shots on target.
Just the last question, Sam, on Bruno Fernandes and Kobbie Mainoo, because Ruben Amorim's been speaking about both of them in terms of the future on the position. On Kobbie Mainoo, said can play in both positions in the midfield. His perfect position is near the ball, needs to increase the rhythm, the pace, have big plans. The competition is going to be huge. And on Bruno, if he'll play in the midfield, he says he can be. We can change in-game, but we miss Bruno as a number 10. Sometimes when he's playing as a number 10, he comes to get the ball and nobody is a 10. He can play in front also. Yeah, those two positions, are they ones to watch, Sam, for you this season?
Yeah, that's why I was saying that about signing a midfielder, because I'm not convinced on Kobbie Mainoo in any of those positions. And if Bruno plays there, he's going to need somebody to do the dog work for him. And I think your guy is capable, but like we saw, his physicality was a bit lacking. Like we saw the West Ham game, and he just got shoved off the ball. And it's like, you can't be doing that in that position. Like, you need to be stronger. You need to be a stand-up to the thing. And his ball progression isn't great either. So that would be a position I'll look at and sort of try and sort that, because then you could just slot anybody next to him. You slot Kobbie there, you could put Bruno there, Casemiro, and they could just sort of play and stuff and sort of dictate, and the other ones can go forward and not have to worry as much. But there's not many of those players about, and the players that are about, they're going to cost you a fortune. So it's a very tricky sort of assignment to fill, I would say.
Agreed. For any further comments or quotes from the press, obviously, it was like 40 minutes late to the thing, so that's that managed to cover the whole thing.
It'll be on the Instagram later.
I was just about to say that. So bottom right-hand corner, just below Shreyas there, all our socials are on there, so go check them out, interact with them. Leave any thoughts if you're watching this later on, because of course not everybody watches it live. Subscribe to the channel, smash like in the video, and we will speak to you guys tomorrow when the game's on against